Space Station. Hi guys, it's Ben here from T-Rex Space Station. How's everyone doing? This is going to be a video response to Dave, who's also known as Infected Flinch, who asked the question, which is better, open world or linear? And I guess that's kind of a false dichotomy. It's not necessarily fair to compare one against the other, but I think it is interesting to raise some points about open world games and to kind of talk about some of their drawbacks. Firstly, Dave raises the slightly controversial opinion that he's not a huge fan of GTA 5, that it kind of felt a little bit linear and kind of boring, that he was doing pretty dull fetch quests. And I was really excited for the release of GTA 5. I really got into all the hype. I played a lot of it when I got it, and yeah, on the whole I would say that's a really good game. But when I think about it, I've tried to play GTA 5 through twice, and both times I got kind of halfway, maybe even 3/4 of the way. Excuse me, slight little burp there, I've had some potato curry. Kind of 3/4 of the way, and then kind of get bored. So it's an interesting point. If I think it's a really great game, why did I keep getting bored of it? Maybe it's because there were some drawbacks to the whole open world thing. Now, I well remember first playing the first GTA game on the PlayStation 1. Actually, I played it on the PC first. When that game came out, it really blew my socks off. I was amazed at how the game worked. And what was so amazing and thrilling about it was the fact that you could do whatever the hell you want. You could play it seriously and do the missions and go through the quests like that, or you could just arse around, you could blow things up, you could go look for secret cars, you could go do side missions. And that element of freedom I hadn't ever experienced before really in a game. Just that ability to do what you wanted to and to decide how the game was going to pan out for yourself. And it was novel. I think one of the problems that we have now is that actually just having a sandbox game or a game where you can choose what to do in and of itself isn't novel anymore. It's been done a lot of times, and there are lots of GTA clone type games that do it as well. If the method or the mechanism isn't novel, that means that the game's going to have some serious content to make you want to play it in an open world fashion. And if that's lacking, then the game can actually get very boring. I think the problem with GTA 5 is it gives the illusion of non-linearity and of being open world and interesting, but actually it is brought down to us a collection of pretty boring mini tasks. If I want to go and do something other than the main missions, it's going to be some of the side quests, and they're often quite crappy. They are just kind of collecting things, etc. Most of the story in the game is, well, all the story is through playing the main missions. And that's kind of something that's predefined, it's already made, you're just watching a story play out. I don't really get into the character, I know I play as them, but I just go to an area and activate a story and watch what happens. And the game does have a good story, but it feels kind of passive, and it is just divided between different trigger points. If I'm truly going to enjoy the open world experience, I think I actually have to be able to get into the role of the characters and really feel as though I'm making my own character, making my own decisions, and developing the game, making choices and making things truly non-linear, rather than just basically a linear sandbox game with a series of fetch quests in it. A good example of this would be, say, the Morrowind series, the Elder Scrolls series even. Morrowind, the first game, really amazed me, and I loved just being able to explore, make a character for myself, choose my allegiances, and, you know, watch something pan out that I created and kind of, you know, been part of. And that was an amazing game. And, you know, Skyrim is similar as well and develops on those ideas, that truly non-linearity. You can be evil if you want to, you can join the evil murderous faction, you can go wherever you want and be whoever you want, and that makes it feel important. And yeah, I did play through the story and feel that develop, but as my own character, in my own time, doing what I wanted to. GTA 5 doesn't really allow you to explore who you want to be and how you want to be. It is simply a series of mini quests if you don't want to do the main story. The other thing to say is, how interesting is the non-linearity part, the open world part? You know, in Morrowind, I really liked just exploring the world. It was really beautiful. I can remember very clearly sometimes playing it when I was just walking along the side of a stream and it would start raining and I'd have that beautiful, memorable Morrowind music playing in the background. And it was a true experience to actually explore. GTA, yeah, you're just going to drive between the areas, and you know, the travelling isn't all that much fun. It actually has to feel beautiful and feel like a real world to make that, you know, truly fun. And Skyrim was the best example of that. I loved just wandering around, pottering about, and the world was very, very dynamic with a lot of different things going on. Skyrim is possibly a slightly better example because once you'd done enough travelling, then you could, like, you know, use the fast map, and it didn't feel cheap to do that because, you know, you travelled that route loads of different times. So that kind of made it cool, and, you know, you could cut out the boring parts. I agree that some of the travelling in GTA 5 is boring, and maybe sandbox games are getting a little bit old hat now. Maybe we're just tiring of them, and I suppose that I am too. I did find GTA 5 got really boring. A game that I did really like was Sleeping Dogs on the Xbox 360, which is a sandbox game. It's a beat 'em up. It is kind of GTA style, but the story in that came quite quickly and was really fun to advance. And in advance quickly, I didn't feel like I had to delay much, and I got so drawn into the story on that game that I completed it faster than I should have. I actually almost ignored the side quests and things because the story was so good. So that's a game I would definitely recommend you check out if you haven't played it before. So open world games are amazing. It was really impressive when it first came out, but it has to be more than just being a sandbox game that's open world. It actually has to feel like a world and for me, a story and also a role to play. A role that actually fits into that world that I can decide and go off in different directions. Now, do I always like a lot of non-linearity? No, sometimes I find it quite boring and find those sections in games to be a little bit bland. Some examples would be role-playing games. I often kind of don't want to play the side quests in role-playing games. I just want to get through to the next part. Sometimes the actual side quests have a lot less effort put into them graphically and story-wise, and I just want to play through and have a kind of linear direction. But obviously you have variety in terms of the party and the skills and things. But a kind of linear direction so I can go quickly between bosses, between areas, and don't feel too loose. I remember playing Breath of Fire games where it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? There's just no indication. I'm just wandering around this goddamn map. Sometimes I don't want open world, I want my game to pass quickly. One of the things I really liked about the last story on the Wii, and maybe Final Fantasy X as well, was actually they removed some of the open worldness, or kept it kind of predefined. And in the last story you played through in chapters that followed pretty well, and that kind of open world part was kept to a well-defined minimum, without too much looseness. Sometimes I just find open world or open exploration can be a little bit vague without very much indication of where to go. And in RPGs, I'm not a completionist. I play them for the story and for the challenge of the tactics and the battling. I don't like loosely farting around some ancient world, wondering what the fuck I'm supposed to be doing and getting endlessly dicked by crappy random battles. That's not a nice feeling. And, you know, I play lots of games that are linear because the story is very nicely put together and flows really well. So, open world, is it all that it's cracked up to be? Yes, I think it's been pretty amazing, but I agree, GTA 5 did get kind of boring. I think in and of itself now it's not a novelty, and so the game has to have a lot more to it to make it worth playing in an open world sense. Please check out Dave's video and do a video response to this if you want to. Let me know your thoughts on open world games and linear games. Alright guys, take care and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye!